Surgical precision, fantastic feel, a 95 square inch head paired with an 18 by 20 string pattern, all of that under a beautiful glossy copper paint job. Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse racket review of the Wilson Pro Staff 6195. Today we're trying a new format, so we would love to know your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below if you like, love, or really don't care for this new video style.
In terms of power control, Wilson's new 6195 18 main definitely supplies it from a variety of sources. Obviously, a 331 gram frame weight's going to give you all the mass-based plow through that you would really need out of a tennis racket. Combine that with a firm layup of graphite, I would say there's a little extra cheap source of power from the energy return coming off this racket. All in all, definitely rides the fine line between power and control.
It's very much a precision tool for me, scalpel-like, I guess I could say. This is probably one of the most control-oriented precision-type rackets, maybe other than the Head Prestige Classic 2.0. It's not too flexible, it's got that stiffness to it.
There is so much control in this racket, especially with the dense string pattern. I really could feel where my balls were coming off with the string bed and then dipping inside the court. I really felt connected to them, especially on my backhand slice. I thought that shot was particularly great with this racket. So yeah, really nice blend of power and control for me.
Of course, I'm always comparing the rackets we're testing to my racket of choice, which is that RF97, and that really takes the cake when it comes to plow through. But this one was so fun to hit with. I even had people asking if it was a pro stock racket. I think there's something really special with the static weight being above 12 ounces, but the swing weight being below 330. So really good mass behind the ball, but still really nice and easy to swing.
For spin, I got one word for you: slice. I absolutely love this racket on my backhand slice. The mass of the racket plus the dense string bed really made it plow through the ball.
I had no complaints when it came to spin. This racket did whatever I asked of it. So if I was loading the ball with more spin, I had access to the spin I was looking for, but I really leaned into the fact that I found really good precision and I could keep the ball nice and low over the net. And that's something I just love. It paired perfectly with the way I like to play tennis.
And when it came to top spin, I got decent spin out of the racket, but it's not the most spin-friendly option out there, but enough for me to get the ball dipping inside the lines and control my shots.
Although the 6195 18 main is not a spin racket, and I definitely need quite a bit of spin to be effective in how I play as a counterpuncher on the tennis court, I will say you can coax a really good amount of spin and a little extra launch angle if you pair it with a thinner polyester like I prefer to do. So from there, I really felt like I was getting the best of both worlds. I get a little launch angle and an easier grip on the ball, while it still satisfies my backhand slice, keeps it dagger-like low, and I get that connected feeling to the ball. Lastly, I would say the 18 main seems to fill up the string bed with string, and no matter where I'm planting the ball on the string bed, I'm seemingly getting a really good response.
I'll say as far as the weight goes of this racket, for most players, this is a pretty beefy spec that's at the higher end of the spec range for most rackets. But with that, I think it maneuvers well with the balance. So I did still find it pretty whippy for the most part. I wouldn't say this racket's necessarily easy to swing, but for those who like a hefty player's racket, I think this one has some good whippability to it. Is that a word? Whippability. Well, how did you make that up?
Hashtag that.
Whippability. I don't know where that came from.
This is definitely a big swing, long swing racket, and I think most of these rackets are coming down a little bit in swing weight from what they were before. So it is a little more of a maneuverable package, but no doubt this is a mass-based power racket. So I would say it errs on the side of stability rather than maneuverability.
This one was a breeze to swing. Even on off-center hits, it wasn't super wobbly, it wasn't noticeable. The racket still did what I asked of it. The sweet spot felt very large. Again, I'm gonna mention that static weight paired with the lower swing weight. So for me, that was an ideal combination.
It's a weighty racket, but it's also tip light. So it's head light, the weight's distributed mostly down towards the handle, and so you can whip the head around. I found it pretty easy to add some pace and spin to my shots and just whip that racket tip through contact up at net as well. I thought offered a really solid blend of just being stable at impact, but also head light enough that I could get it into position quickly, and I found it plenty maneuverable.
I was surprised finding that I enjoyed the feel at contact so much when hitting with this racket. It has a plush feel at impact, yet the beam is still firm. It's about 4 points lower in RA compared to my RF97 and a slightly thinner beam. So I thought I was gonna find it to be too flexible, but it's just perfect. I felt like the racket was really stable, had a very forgiving sweet spot.
I thought it was very, very comfortable. I liked the way the ball sat on the string bed, and I was able to manipulate it, get it to do what I wanted it to do. And at net, it's a very rock solid racket, so I could hold a very light grip on the handle of the racket and really maximize my feel and touch when I was hitting my drop volleys and little angles.
When it came to feel, getting back into this racket, I used it quite a few years ago. I like that stiffness rating here, not too flexy, but not too stiff like some of the older versions. K Factor was pretty stiff. Even the previous Pro Lab, the V13, was a little stiffer. So I like that it came down a bit, felt very connected. And I don't know if it's true, but something about these Pro Lab type rackets, they feel like they have that foam inside, so a very dampened response, and I just felt connected to the ball.
As a wise man once said, this 6195 definitely affords you scalpel-like precision. That is one of the famous comments from Granville Swopes throughout the years. The feel of this racket, I've been playing more with a kind of a blade or a Solinco whiteout, so it's a little softer layup of graphite. I could definitely feel the firmness. This is definitely a big swing racket, so if you're looking for that kind of a feel, look no further than the new 6195 18 main.
To me, it feels like that magic wand, like an extension of my arm. So just really happy to get this racket back on our website, getting to play with this again. Now, it's not the most forgiving, and I've used some slightly bigger head sizes, slightly longer rackets in the more recent years. I feel like when I'm playing well, I'm very dialed with this racket, but sometimes I do crave a little bit more forgiveness, but just really a beautiful racket, a beautiful paint job. I love the 6-1.
Overall, you guys know I've been searching for a new racket of choice since that RF97 seems to be discontinued, and this one was a quick contender. I had a lot of people asking me if it was on the list for a switch. I absolutely loved how easy it was for me to swing off the baseline, get my balls consistently deep, and still had good plow-through power. I absolutely loved hitting serves with it, specifically big flat first serves.
The K Factor one was the one where I really fell in love with this. I played with that racket in the tournament, had a great time with it, and this just brought back a ton of great memories. It's a really rock solid, control-oriented player's racket. I think a great option for the intermediate on-up player.
Overall, I really enjoyed Wilson's new 6195 18 main. It did remind me that I'm not getting any younger picking this racket up now as opposed to a couple of years ago, even though it is a gram lighter and a little lower swing weight. It's a lot of racket for sure. And if there was anything that I might, it's not a knock to the racket or anything, but I noticed even playing with a Pro Staff 85, smaller heads tend to teeter a little bit more. So what I found myself gravitating towards is at least putting one, if not two overgrips on a 3/8 handle size, just to get a little bit more stability out of this end of the racket, since I'm not getting it on the head end. And then if anything, the reemergence of this new 6195 basically signifies that as much as I'm gonna hold out hope, Fed is not gonna come back on court and start teaching the youngsters how it's done. At any rate, this is just a fantastic racket overall from any part of the court.
For this review, we tried a variety of different string setups, mostly full sets of poly. We also tried a natural gut hybrid. For the review today, we have Luxilon ALU Power 125 strung at 50 pounds, as well as a new Luxilon Eco Spin, also strung at 50 pounds. For this review of the Wilson 6195, we've tried a new format for today. Let us know in the comments how you liked it. And for more information on this racket or anything tennis related, be sure to head to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.